Today I'm honored to be here with you to present for BBFI, A Healthy Church Understands Digital Ministry. Here's what I'm going to cover today. Number 1, how to develop a digital ministry mindset. Number 2, the best way to reach people in 2025. Number 3, how to grow your church through a digital outreach framework. And lastly, we have a free gift for you to help your church grow at the end of this presentation. Now, a healthy church understands that digital ministry starts with the words of Jesus, which we see in Mark 16:15. Go ye into all the world and preach the good news to everyone. Going into all the world includes reaching people with technology. For us to successfully leverage tech to reach people, we need a mindset shift. Originally, I started out my career in life on the missions field, traveling to Africa, Europe, Asia, Central South America, working with churches and nonprofits. In 2008, during the financial crisis, it turned the worst for us. I trusted a friend in business and we lost everything. The ordeal brought us back from our missions work. I had to return not by choice, but by necessity. I can vividly recall the second visit to the emergency room. Man, at that point, I was convinced I was having another heart attack, the fear, the uncertainty, but neither of them were heart attacks. They were actually panic attacks. We were broken. But God brought us through, and He used a church to heal our hearts, and Jesus met us there and brought us out of that season. And thank God, my wife and I were out of that season, and God did a beautiful work in us. Here's a recent photo of my wife and 4 kids. For the next season, we shifted into media and technology to help churches reach people for Christ. We've been honored to work with so many great leaders and teams over the years, from Carrie Nieuwhof, Tim Timberlake, Bob Goff, Greg Laurie, Nona Jones, and so many more. What I'll share with you today is the result of having helped thousands of churches with evangelism over the last 25 years. Now let's talk about the first key to a healthy church understanding digital ministry. Number 1, you must have a missionary mindset. You need to think like a missionary. Now, what does a missionary do to preach the gospel? A missionary learns the language and the culture of the people group and then goes into their world to reach them with the gospel. But here's the challenge. Many churches are not speaking the language of culture, and therefore people are not listening, and they're not speaking in a way that people understand. Have you ever seen this at a restaurant? A family out eating and they're looking at their phones. It's crazy. My wife and I, we've mentioned this many a times. But here's the thing. This is the language people are speaking today, media. And this is why we must think like a missionary and realize that digital ministry is missions and evangelism, going into all the world to reach everyone near your church. Now, this is Pastor Tim. He didn't shift with the ever-changing digital technology, and he had to close his church of over 20 years. He came to me for help to start a new church with our digital outreach system. He shifted his mindset and allowed us to implement what was necessary to reach people today with media and technology. A year after closing his church, we launched a new church. The auditorium was packed, 2 overflow rooms jam-packed. He went from 0 to 400 on the first Sunday in the northeastern U.S. This is visitor flow, the same pastor with different results because he changed his mindset. A missionary mindset, the action steps are number 1. See your outreach online as digital missions as you go into all the world. Number 2, speak the language of those you're called to reach. For example, if you're looking to reach families, then look at other brands that are reaching families. And ask yourself, those that you see, look, those brands, are you reaching them? Your design, your videos, are you speaking the same language to bring the gospel into their lives? And number 3, invest in digital missions. In the same way you support missionaries overseas and here in the U.S., invest in digital outreach to see people come to Christ. Now, number 2, knocking on phones. This is the best way to reach people today, on their phones. Not knocking on doors like the old days, but a healthy church understands that knocking on phones is one of the best ways to reach people today. And the Apostle Paul said, "To the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I've become all things to all people that I might win some." I do it for the sake of the gospel. The point is reaching people where they're at without sinning. It's where the people are. We could say this, that on Facebook, we're reaching them on Facebook. And we could say that, hey, we did all things, man, reaching people on TikTok so that we could reach them to win some, reaching people where they're at. Healthy churches are having conversations about Christ, loving people in the communities where they're at online, being a light in a dark world. Like the old days of door-to-door evangelism, they're now being intentional about reaching people on their devices through digital ministry. Now, I'll never forget this story of Rodney. I always like to ask people with the churches that we're partnering with and working with, when I'm visiting there, out there in the lobby, chatting with people, hey, how'd you find the church? I remember asking Rodney this, and he said, I was looking on my phone and I came across an ad to the church and it pulled me in and drew me in. And I said, I'm going to go to that church. He came that Sunday and he had grown up in the church, but he came back to Christ, man. He came back and, man, just rededicated his life to Christ. Then the next Sunday, he brought his wife and kids. They were lost, had never been born again. He brings them in and they got saved. The whole family was transformed. Here we were months later, all because the church reached out with the good news and knocked on his phone. Let's talk about action steps for knocking on phones. Number one, choose the platforms to present. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now called X, the places where you want to be a light for Christ. Teach your people to be a light on social media and to be present and to have conversations. Number three, have intentional campaigns to reach people with organic posts and paid ads. Be intentional about knocking on phones in your area to reach people and families like what happened to Rodney. Number three, having a healthy church that understands digital ministry. Set up digital outreach system that operates 24/7 to reach people for Christ in your area, even when you're sleeping. Here's the formula for a digital outreach system. You need a flow of visitors, engagement, the triple play follow-up system, and the result is people coming to Christ and church growth. Now, our digital outreach system drives growth by increasing visitor flow. In three major streams, you drive growth with visitor flow. Number one is word of mouth, one of the most powerful, probably where most of your church visitors come from now. The next two streams, though, are where you can increase your growth quickly. Number two, the stream is organic, which is your SEO and your social media. The third stream and final stream is advertising. This is the stream that can flood your church with growth. Your digital outreach system is focused on the organic and advertising streams to drive church visitors on autopilot. Now, when you hear the word advertising and you think, our church doesn't have the budget for that, but there is actually a zero budget advertising option. Now, over the last year, we've helped our partner churches grow and have record attendance. This is one church, they had over 20,000 this last year at all their Easter services. We've also had the same thing with smaller churches we work with by increasing their visitor flow, seeing every week a steady stream of church visitors. This is the key to digital outreach. Let's talk about the action steps. Number one, set up a system that automates and reaches people 24/7 while you sleep. Number two, focus on increasing your visitor flows through strategic posting, through organic social media, and using paid ads to increase your impact. Number three, read the Grow Your Church with New Technology and Free Advertising book. Yep, that's right. I know we don't have a lot of time here, so we've got the free book that I wrote here that we will give you at no cost, a digital book absolutely free for you that covers all of that. How to grow your church. Click here. You can have it absolutely free. Just right here, go ahead and scan the QR code. If you want to buy physical copies, you can too. If you want to get the physical book, go through all with your team, you can as well. But if you like the digital copy, it's absolutely free for you and your team. In addition, we'll give you a free social media starter pack and the social media engagement guide. We're also inviting you to an entirely free Grow Your Church webinar to help you and your team setting up the digital outreach system. You can go to creativo.ai/BBFI or scan the QR code on the screen to get your free resources. Scan the QR code and you can get the full digital outreach system plan for free. In addition, get the social media starter pack and the social media engagement guide. We want to see you reach more people for Christ this year and make a massive impact, just like Rodney and his family. But remember, a healthy church is a light in the community online. Go boldly, reach more people for Christ with all modern means of communication. We're cheering you on.